The week of August 7th puts Venus retrograde in Leo front and center as she first squares Uranus, inspiring shakeups and revolution in our relationships and desires, and then conjoins the Sun, the moment astrologically known as Cazimi, which is the renewal, the start of a new cycle. Get ready to release your outdated beliefs, experience breakthroughs, and find a renewed sense of direction. Let's take a closer look. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. I highly appreciate that, and it helps YouTube promote my content in front of more people. And if you'd like to work with me, you can book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You also have the option of becoming a subscriber to get a unique relationship with me. And that relationship includes monthly horoscopes sent out to you at the start of every month. I am filming this video from France. I am traveling in August, so this is my Airbnb in the sunny Nice in the southern France. So that's why my setting is looking different. I just got here a few days ago, so clearly no tan, still as pale as I was. Not that I'm really trying to get super tan. When you travel, do you try to get tan, or are you more about, like, if you go to the beach, are you more about swimming or are you more about tanning? Which team are you? So this video is dedicated to Venus, right? And Venus is retrograde right now. The retrograde started on July 22nd. It lasts until September 3rd. So the entirety of August, the planet of desire, is moving backwards. So we are at a place of rebalancing the scales, reevaluating, asking ourselves more important questions, at times doubting our relationships, doubting things that were important to us. Just to give you a quick example, I do not feel as inspired by croissants anymore. I no longer feel like as kind of, you know, like I used to love croissants, and now I'm just sort of like, well, but do I like them so much? So that's just one thing, right? But you may be questioning a lot of different things in your life, including your style and aesthetic. Another person I know has been trying to figure out her style and maybe rethink her hairstyle. So all of these aspects that are ruled by Venus, connection, desire, beauty, they're all a little bit up in the air and kind of confusing, but this week brings an important shift as Venus goes through two major aspects, right? So this video is like twofold. First, we have Venus squaring Uranus at 7:08 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, August 9th. And this is basically felt starting August 4th into 13th, especially strongly if you have planets between 20 and 26 degrees fixed signs, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio. And it's a repeat of the transit we had on July 2nd. So take a look back at July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and see what was happening in your relationships. Have you dealt with any drama? Has there been any revealing important conversations? Anything that came up and maybe needed your attention? That would give you important clues on what this Venus square to Uranus will be about. So in general, Venus in a square to Uranus brings sudden revelations and discoveries that bring relationship shakeups, right? Like finding out your spouse has a gambling addiction, for example. Or just recognizing someone on the street and realizing that it's your ex and you still have feelings for them, for example. It can also bring experimentation in love and changes and surprises in love, right? You meet someone of the same gender as you and you've never felt attracted to your gender, but suddenly you realize that you are bisexual, perhaps. And there could also be shakeups and new discoveries in art. So maybe you try nail polish instead of paint and you realize that you're making like the most beautiful piece of art, like a new way of using something that is mundane in your artwork. In general, to me, this feels like a palette cleanser. I feel like this is a very important it's a very important transit, right? Because it tends to, in order to bring something new, you have to tear up the old. So this Uranian lightning strike, the bright, the revealing, the eye-opening moment is super important for what's about to happen at the end of the week. And as we're cleansing the palette, we're breaking away from the old and we're opening space for something new. And most likely the start of the week will introduce you to the themes that are important, right? That are going to be significant. And finally, one other thing I think the Venus square Uranus can bring is using technology, using Uranian scientific methods, and unorthodox, adventurous, freedom-loving patterns and strategies in your love, in your creative pursuits, and in your work. So of course, you know, this energy comes through, and then on Sunday, August 13th, we have Venus Cazimi. And Venus Cazimi is Venus conjunct the Sun. It's the turning point. It's the middle point in the retrograde cycle. So it brings a shift. After we had the important discovery, we're now ready to start making changes, right? Venus Cazimi is exact at 7:15 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, August 13th, but you will feel it from 4 p.m. Eastern on August 12th until about 10:15 p.m. Eastern, August 13th. A beautiful moment to journal, a beautiful moment to talk to your partner, to share your feelings with people you love, to kind of express your affections, to create, to listen to music, to watch a movie, to watch a play. You may feel especially inspired, especially connected to the collective and connected to the spiritual, creative vibes in the sky. And, you know, before the Cazimi, Venus is not only retrograde, but she's also combust. She's, whenever the planet is close to the sun, it's burned up by the light of the sun. You cannot see it, right? But when it's in the exact conjunction, it's considered to be in the heart of the sun. So it's empowered, so it's strong, so it's protected or kind of blessed and encouraged by the sun. It's Venus in a secret chamber having the talk of the next kind of style trends with the sun, potentially. So you can expect inspiration, you can expect joy, pleasure, intimacy, passion and sexual encounters, clarity about what's truly important to you. So first we have the lightning strike, and then we have the moment of peace, clarity, and kind of beauty. So I like that the week ends on a more positive note. So now let's talk about the rising signs and see what you can expect. It may be a quicker rundown because I am on vacation, so I might not spend as much time as I normally do. But then again, I always say that and it always ends up being a longer video anyways. So if you are an Aries rising, Venus in your 5th house is going to square Uranus in the 2nd house and then conjoin the Sun in the 5th. So here with a square to Uranus, you're going through a breakthrough, a renewal, a change in finances. There might be some kind of new financial opportunities. There might be sudden expenses or sudden windfalls of money. Either spending, or, you know, coming in to you. There might also be some kind of breakthrough around self-worth and self-understanding, becoming more clear about what you want. Take a look back at July 2nd when we had Venus square Uranus, the same exact energy last time. So I see this as this breakthrough and change financially that inspires creativity, that calls you to take your hobbies and turn them into a business, to take them and make them your life mission, right? Like there might be some changes that are inspired by your children. Maybe you're quitting your job to spend more time with kids, or you're becoming a parent as well. That is quite likely. Romantically, at first, there might be some kind of tension when it comes to money, but I think as Venus conjoins the Sun on Sunday, the chances of you becoming more clear and becoming more aligned with your partner and starting to understand each other, maybe even developing some kind of new strategy when it comes to finances is more likely. And let me know how July 2nd went for you. Have you had any tensions? Have you had any kind of even like maybe conflicts around money and values with people in your life, and perhaps something magical can come out of it this time around. If you are a Taurus rising, Venus in the 4th house is going to square Uranus in your 1st house on Wednesday, August 9th. And then Venus will conjoin the Sun. The cazimi will happen on Sunday, August 13th. So here you're going through a transformation of self, right? Uranus has been in your 1st house for a while, encouraging you to shake away the old, to release the shackles that are holding you back, and to venture forth the beautiful new you. And the square to Uranus, the fact that Venus in the 4th is squaring Uranus in the 1st could mean that there might be some challenges that affect your home and family potentially. Maybe some kind of transformation of self that changes your familial dynamics, right? Like you tell your family that you're bisexual, and your family's response is not at all what you'd like them to respond to you, or you get ready to move away from your home, which also changes your home and family dynamics. To me, it feels like you're getting very clear and you're getting ready to let go of what's holding you back. And that could be an unhealthy family dynamic, or it could be a past wound, even the way you think about yourself, right? With Venus cazimi in the 4th house, you're experiencing a sense of renewed understanding of what home is. You're getting more clear about where you want to be and how you see yourself and things like that. And we last had Venus square Uranus on July 2nd. Please let me know down below how it went for you. Were there any tensions between your desire for independence and your family or your living situation? If you are a Gemini rising, Venus in your 3rd house will square Uranus in the 12th house, and then Venus will conjoin the Sun all within this week. So Venus in the 3rd square Uranus in the 12th feels like some kind of challenges, some kind of shakeups and breakthroughs connected to mental health, connected to foreign lands. So if you're dealing with any like immigration topics, maybe there is a change that's coming, a sense of breaking away from doing things the old way. Healing in terms of being a healer. Basically, Uranus in the 12th house highlights your blind spot. And the blind spot could be negative, right? Like there could be a sense that you're seeing your tendency to maybe be self-defeating, maybe be more negative, maybe seeing the darkness before you see the light. Or it could be more positive in a sense that you're coming to understand your gifts and you're coming to understand what you actually have to offer to the world. And then, of course, this leads to the Venus cazimi in the 3rd house, which means that as you come to this deeper understanding, your mindset is changing, your communication style is changing. You may begin to communicate in a more kind of empowered way, more confident in yourself way, right? Like you might become the source of light. And if you are becoming a source of light, please let me know. But you might become someone who is just, your purpose is to share your feelings and to share what you've been through and to share your knowledge with others, right? Like Venus in the 3rd house. 3rd house is skills, hobbies, business. So some kind of new beginnings that come out of the darkness that you're facing. And we last had Venus in a square to Uranus on July 2nd. Please let me know if anything came up for you around that time. Now, if you are Cancer rising, Venus in your 2nd house will square Uranus in the 11th on August 9th, and then will conjoin the Sun on August 13th. So 2nd house versus 11th house. 11th house is the place of hopes and dreams and wishes. It's also the place of community and friendships. And when Uranus is traveling through this house, you're breaking away from perhaps defining yourself in accord with what others expect of you or in accord to what other people see in you. And there are also potentially changes to your friendships, changes to your group affiliations, maybe starting some kind of volunteer work, or being either, I feel like this to me feels like either you're breaking away from a friend or you're experiencing a breakthrough in a friendship, and maybe you're starting some kind of group project, you're beginning a podcast, or you're venturing out on social media with a friend and kind of getting your friendship stronger. And then Venus Cazimi in the second house, I'm almost wondering if this new opportunity leads to financial abundance in your life. Perhaps the new beginnings or shakeups in friendships either make you feel more comfortable within yourself, where let's say you break away from a friend who is not healthy for you. You say goodbye, adieu, au revoir, and move on, right? Or it's a sense of starting a new collaboration that is then financially rewarding. And if it's not about friends for you, it can also just be about building more confidence in yourself and breaking away from the need to get other people to approve of you. I think to me, like the Venus in the second, the house of self-worth, square Uranus in the 11th, it's almost like this moment when something breaks and you're like, this is not important. This just gives me anxiety. I want to be self-contained. So let me know how this goes. And we last had this aspect on July 2nd. So if you remember what was happening in your life at that time, I'd love to know. Please write it down below. If you are a Leo rising, I'm excited for you Leo risings, because you first have Venus in the first house, square Uranus in the 10th. And then you have Venus Cazimi in the first house. So Venus square Uranus in the 10th feels like professional restlessness, professional revolution, right? A breakthrough in the sector of hopes and dreams and wishes and things that you see yourself doing. So because it's a square, it could be frustrating, right? It's not as easy, chill, and happy as like Venus trine Uranus. Take a look at what was happening between kind of you and work back in early July, because we had Venus square Uranus on July 2nd. And let me know down below what was happening in your professional life. Did you experience any kind of changes, shakeups, difficulties? Because these shakeups are likely to affect your sense of self. They're likely to affect your style, the way you take care of yourself, and the way you see yourself. So Venus in a square to Uranus can be some kind of opportunity that comes your way that asks you to move, for example. Or it's a job off, or it's like, let's say it's an internship offer and the pay is not clear, and whether you get the job is unclear. So there's a lot of kind of confusion and uncertainty, and your 10th house is Taurus. You want a job that is stable, right? You are very loyal to the job you're at. So there might be a professional possibility that is a bit unsteady and makes you balance things. But I think with Venus Cazimi coming up on Sunday, August 13th, you are experiencing, as a result of this, you're experiencing a better understanding of yourself. You're becoming more comfortable in speaking up, more self-aware and kind of self-contained, and maybe even more clear about what your message is, what your brand is, and what you want to be known for. If you are a Virgo rising, Venus in the 12th house is going to square Uranus in the 9th on August 9th, and then will conjoin the Sun on August 13th. So here Uranus in the 9th house can bring breakthroughs and breakdowns of your mindset, right? 9th house is the place of beliefs and ideals and philosophies. So Venus in the 12th might be driven to sort of escape and maybe have a little bit of romantic drama, but then the square to Uranus suggests that you are no longer interested in pursuing something that is not healthy for you, right? So there might be some kind of light bulb going off that this is not working out for me. There might be breakthroughs or changes connected to travel. education, legal matters, and publishing or writing. So some kind of insight or possibility or opportunity that is coming into your life. And then as Venus conjoins the Sun in your 12th house on Sunday, August 13th, you are being able to use this energy constructively, right? And maybe you are, as you know, as you get this new opportunity, maybe an opportunity to travel, maybe an opportunity to write, right? You're becoming, with Venus Cazimi in the 12th house, you're becoming really clear, really self-aware, and ready to make changes, to become more productive, to become more committed to the work that you're doing, right? And I feel like you're either releasing a self-defeating tendency, a bad habit, a bad relationship potentially, or you're welcoming opportunities that lead to writing, that lead to traveling, that lead to growing, maybe even mentoring other people. So it could be quite exciting. But of course, because Venus squares Uranus, it's not without shakeups and tensions and potentially irritations. And the last time we had this was on July 2nd. So please let me know how this went for you. You can write that down in the comments below, so you know we can both know what might happen again around this time. But of course, around this time it feels happier because of that Venus conjunct the Sun. If you are a Libra rising, Venus in your 11th house is squaring Uranus in the 8th house on August 9th, and then it conjoins the Sun on August 13th. So Venus in your 11th house as your chart ruler, right, could be the period in which you're feeling a bit uncertain, a bit unsteady, right? It might be harder to figure out which direction to go in because 11th house represents your dreams and hopes for the future. You might be unclear about your relationships and your associations, right? In the 11th house, it's very much social media can be like, you may feel less inspired to pursue work on social media, or you may feel less aligned with your friends, or not even clear about which friendship to go with, right? Or which alliance, which connection to pursue. And it's, of course, everything is connected, right? Because if you're not quite sure about what you're aspiring towards, then your relationships will be uncertain as a result too. But then I like that Venus squares Uranus in the 8th house. I think to me this reads as a breakdown of some kind of old vision and old way of relating to people. And it could be a breakthrough as well when it comes to partnerships, when it comes to getting along with other people and connecting with other people. So it's very exciting, because then it leads to Venus Cazimi in the 11th house, and I feel like you're either experiencing this new vision, becoming more clear about the way you want to go about things. There might be new projects coming into your life, new ideas. There might be like a better sense of alignment. Maybe you feel supported by friends, and you know that even if things are unclear still a little bit, you know who your people are, right? Could also be very much a chance to look at your dreams and to look at where you're being too stuck and stubborn, right? Take a look back at July 2nd. Let me know in the comments below what was happening in your life at that time, because Venus was moving direct and she already squared Uranus once, and now she's coming back for another round. But this time around, it's like it gives us answers, right? And I definitely had some issues in my relationship at the time, and like important conversations about future and about different visions of the future. So I think at the time it wasn't really solved. It was just all brought up in the air. But I'm looking forward to this more positive energy coming up. So yeah, please let me know what this was for you. If you are a Scorpio rising, Venus in your 10th house is going to square Uranus in the 7th house, and then will conjoin the Sun in your 10th house between August 9th and 13th. And so Venus in the 10th squaring Uranus in the 7th could be interesting because you have this tension between your house of work, career, status, ambition, and your house of relationships and partnerships. And somehow a twist or a change, a shift need to happen. Let's call that a shift need to happen. Venus in the 10th squares Uranus in the 7th could lead to some kind of breakthroughs and revelations about your partnerships. You may realize that a partner you were going in business with is not as involved, or they actually already have a secret second business that's taking up all of their time. There might be some kind of revelation about their finances maybe, or their resources. Something's happening in their life. Some kind of big changes are happening in their life. And as a result, with Venus Cazimi in the 10th house, on one hand, you can become more clear about what you want and maybe more self-contained, right? Maybe you start to sort of rely on yourself more. And if it's not career related, it could also be about your dreams for the future and about the way you see yourself, right? Like you understand that you and your partner are not on the same page, and so you're getting ready to pursue things on your own. There's also an opposite possibility that exists where maybe your partner goes through some kind of shakeup, right? Uranus in the 7th house could literally mean that your partner goes through like a sudden shift. And then you get Venus Cazimi in the 10th, and either you are becoming okay with being the breadwinner in the family, or maybe you and your partner are going to start a business together. So watch out for changes around relationships, partnerships, and how they can impact your career or your vision of yourself. And we last had this aspect on July 2nd, so please let me know how it went for you back then. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Venus in the 9th house is going to square Uranus in the 6th, and then we're going to get a Venus Cazimi in your 9th house. So Venus in the 9th square Uranus in the 6th reads as challenges and breakthroughs and breakdowns connected to work, health, and service affect your travel, education, writing projects, and your beliefs and philosophies. So something might happen in your household where you cannot go on a trip, for example, like your child gets sick and now you have to stay and you have to pivot, right? Or your work project sort of gets canceled, which is frustrating, but then because there is Venus Cazimi coming up in the 9th house, which is the most beautiful, empowered Venus moment this year, you're getting a chance to transcend it. You're getting a chance to look at the situation differently, maybe even teach about it, or maybe even write a book about your life, right? Like Venus Cazimi in the 9th house could be very much an opportunity to present your beliefs and present your vision in a shape of a book, right? Or maybe the challenges that you're facing inspire you to do more. They inspire you to study and to teach and to mentor other people, to share your difficulties and your experience with other people. Even if it's not like a big hardship or something like happens, I think just like having a breakthrough, having an insight around your work, around your everyday life, around hurdles you're going through, and either getting an opportunity to kind of see this through a different lens, through the different eyes, or maximize it by sharing with other people, I can see happening here. And the last time we had this transit was on July 2nd. Please let me know what happened in your life back then. You can let me know down below. If you are a Capricorn rising, Venus in your 8th house is going to square Uranus in the 5th house, and then will conjoin the Sun in your 8th house. So Venus in the 8th square Uranus in the 5th, to me reads as your finances, your relationships with other people, your dependencies on other people, your debts and give and take dynamics with other people need to change. They need to change in order to bring some kind of more space for becoming a parent, for becoming a partner, or for becoming a free kind of creative individual, right? Uranus in the 5th house says that you're ready for a change when it comes to love, that you're ready for a change when it comes to creative self-expression or parenthood, right? If it's love in a square to Uranus in the 8th, maybe you are realizing that you cannot act romantically the way you always used to. Something needs to be different, right? Maybe you used to say okay to whatever your partner brought your way, and you used to be like really kind of adaptable to their needs, and now you no longer wish to say yes to everything. You feel more kind of self-driven, right? Or maybe you get pregnant, right, with Uranus in the 5th house, and your dynamic, your financial dynamic with your partner changes because you have to take some time off work. So some kind of important changes around resources, around give and take dynamics that are potentially inspired by a romantic change, a creative shift, or a child or children related dynamic. And let me know how this transit went for you last time we had the same aspect on July 2nd. I'd love to know. Now, if you are an Aqua rising, this is as important for you as it is for Leo risings, if not more, because Venus is currently in your 7th house of relationships, and it's going to square Uranus in the 4th house on August 9th, and then it's going to conjoin the Sun on August 13th. So Venus is in your 7th house, and you are asking what kind of relationships are worthy of your time, what kind of romantic desires you have, what kind of business connections you want to make. And the square to Uranus to me suggests some kind of changes that your relationships are going through, perhaps connected to your home, perhaps connected to your living situation, to family, even childhood, right? One way this can manifest is learning a secret about your parents and understanding that your parents and their marriage was not perfect. And so you start to feel better about your marriage or your own struggles you're dealing with. Maybe you buy a home and your relationship changes as a result, because now you have to kind of, change your finances and maybe start staying in more and kind of face your relationship issues head on instead of escaping them somehow. Like understanding, even having a breakthrough when it comes to your past, when it comes to your childhood wounds and how your relationships are still being affected by that, and being able to perhaps see your partner for who they are, appreciate yourself for who you are. And Venus Cazimi could really be a moment of strong connection and closeness in your relationship. And last time we had this aspect was on July 2nd. Please take a look back and let me know down below, how has this transit affected you first time around. Now, if you are a Pisces rising, Venus in your 6th house is going to square Uranus in the 3rd. And then we're going to get Venus Cazimi in the 6th house. So here, your square to Uranus in the 3rd could bring breakthroughs in communication. It could bring very insightful but challenging conversations, maybe even a little bit like they throw you off balance, right? There might be changes and shakeups in your relationships with your siblings, in your relationship with your neighbors, your schedule transforming kind of suddenly, and maybe even sudden opportunities that take you outside of your comfort zone and put you in a new place or a new position. And all of that is squaring Venus in the 6th house. So somehow, Venus in the 6th really wants to create better health, create a better routine, sort of focus on doing things a certain way. But then Uranus in the 3rd brings a shakeup, right? Like you've had your doctor's visits lined up, and then your job sends you to France, and now you have to move. So even though unpleasant, with Venus Cazimi in the 6th house, it can really bring you to understand how you take care of yourself better, and to implement better strategies and better protocols around well-being, around self-care. Maybe you start exercising daily, maybe you start eating better, maybe you start not working after 6 p.m., right? Sort of becoming more clear and having stronger boundaries with work, with health and relationships. because the square to Uranus can also be an indicator that your sibling or your neighbor and the relationship with them needs to be reviewed. Maybe like a sibling or neighbor being too imposing and challenging you too much. So perhaps you need to address that. And this is it. Thank you for listening until the end. If you did, if somehow you watched all 12 signs, thank you for that. I hope this Venus Cazimi brings some exciting energy into your life and you share some fun stories with me next. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.